So I want to talk on preparation and integration.
Oh yeah.
Well, preparation, set and setting, and integration. So, what does that look like for someone that's new with doing ketamine? What do you do to have them prepare for it before the clinic?
Yeah, so everyone has a free phone call that we go over all the basic information with them with a care coordinator. Then they have a treatment evaluation with a psychiatrist or a psych NP, which is an hour-long, more formal visit where they go over their medical and psychiatric history and also answer questions and talk about different treatment options.
Mm.
Then we have a preparation session on the day of their first visit in the clinic before their first infusion,
Mm.
which is a separate dedicated time with the provider as well, usually psychiatrist or
What's it
psych
look
NP.
like? Like, what's like the details of the prep?
Yeah, I'm talking about mindset going in, helping people to get calm and
Mm.
centered, clear on whatever their goals or intentions might be. Oftentimes, the intention is as simple as just being open to the experience and not trying to control it and just letting go.
Mm.
And being open is a really big one for a lot of people, and not having a fixed expectation of it looking any certain type of way.
But can it? So, like, when you're going in, me having an experience with psilocybin,
Yeah,
and I can go off into some pretty wild places.
sure.
So is there any similarities with psilocybin? When your eyes are closed, you can
Yeah,
meet beings and
yeah,
like
yeah.
what can someone experience?
Oh, anything and everything is possible. And, the biggest part of that is to just kind of go with the flow,
Yeah.
and be open and be trusting that you're in a safe, caring environment. And if you have a difficult time, we're there to support you and that it will end. It's not permanent and you're going to come back
Yeah.
from that experience. And it is usually positive, but sometimes it can be challenging or a little bit unsettling, and that's okay.
Yeah. The challenging ones though, like they said, I had a bad experience, but are they really bad?
No, I was just going to say, we make the distinction that bad and difficult are not the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that most of the time, uh, especially in an environment like ours, it's difficult. It's not bad.
Mm-hmm.
And even when people have a difficult one, they can have the greatest healing and transformation after that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all about how you frame it. So people with trauma, sometimes they're working through traumatic memories, but they're not as emotionally triggered by them. And they're able to get clarity on their role and their identity in that and the people around them and get healing from it.
Mm.
But sometimes it's unpleasant, at least during
Because you're
that.
going so deep into
Yeah.
it.
And sometimes you're just spinning in shapes and colors or different worlds or energy or, things that can be intense sometimes.
Mm.
And again, staying calm, relaxed, trusting in that process really makes a big difference. So, for some people, they don't see anything. It's just like, black. Like they have a sleep mask on,
That's right.
they close their eyes, and there's just not really much going on. For some people, they have a spiritual experience, or they travel the cosmos or the universe. They're in the stars. They're flying between rainforests.
Mm-hmm.
There's all, they see family or friends maybe who are deceased. Maybe they're having conversations with them.
Mm.
There's really, the subconscious is so rich and it's truly unlimited in terms of what it might be like for people. But the preparation process is helping to simply prepare them for that and to talk it through and to lay down some of the expectations and to really just build a relationship where people can feel that they're safe enough to
Safe.
have that experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the person that's kind of sitting there like guiding them is holding space, and that's a pretty big thing, right?
Yeah, and we make the distinction of kind of sitting with and not guiding because it's really not up to us to direct or steer it.
Mm.
We let their subconscious and the medicine kind of do that. And we're there to just create a safe container and hold space for them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, is there a recommended amount of sessions that does someone immediately go off into a big journey, or do you taper them into it, or how does that look?
Yeah, we start everyone with a low dose that's based on a weight-based formula, and we adjust based on their disposition and their experience with substances and how nervous they are or not and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can increase it from there or decrease it if we need to.
Mm.
We use specialized digital syringe pumps, not IV bags, and with that we can increase or decrease the rate of infusion because it's over a course of an hour. With the push of a button. It's very precise, and that allows us to really titrate to effect. We can really help control the level of the intensity of the experience. And those changes, because it's IV, are felt within minutes.
Mm.
That's not possible with an IV bag or any other route of administration. If people are taking a lozenge or a troche under their tongue, or they're snorting it, or they're getting an IM injection,
You're in
or Once it's in, it's in. But we have the ability to kind of modulate that with precision, which makes a really big difference. And it's really reassuring to people who might be concerned about what they're going to experience. And then, of course, if we have to, we can stop it. And when you stop the infusion, it starts to dissipate within minutes. I mean, 5-10 minutes, it starts wearing off. So, and usually by 20 or 30 minutes, people are pretty much back to themselves for the most part. So that also provides some reassurance for people. And then with integration, we do an integration visit at the 4th and 6th infusion right before, and then 2 weeks after. So with those visits, we're talking about the experience, what thoughts and feelings came up, how we can make use of material that they want to work on or improve, changes they want to make in their life, how we can help to support them in making those changes. And, as Mark asked earlier, that might mean reconciling with friends, family, partners. That might mean finding ways to separate if that's what's necessary for them to have a healthy environment.
Yeah, because people will travel to you. Say you're in LA, so people drive from Orange County or whatever. So are they having this visit with someone like telehealth? Is that what, to go through it, or they come back?
Usually those visits we do in person on the day of treatment because we like to connect with people in person.
Yeah.
We can do them over Zoom or any other platform that's HIPAA compliant when we need to, and then for the 2 weeks post, over Zoom.
Okay.
And we see people from all over the world.
Yeah, I know. I remember I was telling Mark about that. Yeah, people that is flying from all over.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
So, okay, so you mentioned something on these lozenges.
Yeah.
So recently I've heard this, multiple times. So people can just get this shipped to their house.
Right.
And so once you're in it, you're kind of in it.
Right.
Kind of like any other plant medicine type of situation.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts around these lozenges when people can get them shipped to their house and have their own experiences?
They're not as safe or effective. They're definitely not advisable for people with substance use issues. Much, much easier to take a little extra when you're having a bad day or to use them when you're not really needing them.
Yeah.
And it is a powerful mind-altering medicine. So people can make poor choices when they're under the influence of it, which is why we really believe in the supervised model where we can keep them safe and comfortable and provide, support as well as support them medically.
Yeah.
It can help some people. They can be good for maintenance for some people who have had IV infusions and are on them to maintain the benefit longer in between infusions. If people have geographic limitations or financial limitations, they can be a tool. But there's way too much overprescribing online from companies that are just trying to
I see these ads.
Send them home to people to make money, and people are not getting the support that they need. Some companies are better than others. There are some out there that I think are providing more of that wraparound care and support. But for the most part, I'm concerned with just how prevalent it is. And I would say that in most cases, getting treated in a clinic that has the right monitoring and support is going to be the safest, most efficacious, and what I would advocate for.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So on the future of all this, like you said, MDMA, psilocybin, these other things are coming. What are your thoughts around, the psilocybin, on its way? Is that ever going to be, that could be can you experience that in a clinic soon? Where is that going to go?
Yeah, I think it'll be a couple more years before it's available, FDA approved and available in a clinic. There are people doing work with it in Oregon. There are people doing work with it in Oakland and in Denver, but it's not federally legal. And so there's a lot of risk and complication there, and it's not available, generally in California. So it will get FDA approval, hopefully, and be on the market in a couple of years. And it has an amazing ability to really transform people, both on what it does to the brain as well as the experiential aspect that we've been talking about.
What does it do to the brain exactly?
I mean, it acts similar. So I'm not an expert on the neurochemistry around psilocybin, but it acts similar to ketamine in that it helps to create neurogenesis. So it increases neuroplasticity and it disrupts negative thought patterns.
What's neuroplasticity?
The brain's ability to form new connections. So it can really help people to get out of that rut, of just kind of being in this loop of doing the same thing or thinking the same negative thoughts or self-doubt or criticism or negativity or thoughts of hopelessness. It can really reset that.
Wow.
And with the right support, it can help people to reaffirm new positive ways of thinking and being that can be very, very meaningful.
Because you're a product of your thoughts, right? And so if you can change these thoughts, someone could be, so have you seen someone be thinking a certain way that's just really tore their life apart? and had a transformation to that kind of just dissolved and went away?
Absolutely, all the time, all the time, all the time.
It's huge, you know, and that's the thing. Like you said, no one's really shouting it from like the rooftop. Like that's huge.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's amazing.
because in addiction, right, you have a thought which triggers an emotion, which triggers a reaction. The
Right,
reaction being substances. I can't
right.
deal with my emotions
Yeah, yeah.
because they're having this thought.
We are what we think about, yeah. And
So
perception is reality. And if your perception is you're a scumbag and no one loves you and you're never going to be happy, then that's your reality.
that's your reality. Yeah.
And if something that happened to you when you were young, you know, if you were assaulted, molested, if you had, you know, a parent leave you or abuse you, hit you, whatever, and you think you're unlovable, you're worthless, all these stories, you know, you can heal from that. You can
Mm,
recognize that the meaning that we give this stuff. And as I mentioned earlier, the past is the past. You're not going to undo the beatings or the assault or whatever it might be, but you can frame a new identity for yourself and give new meaning to what happened there, you know,
mm,
and you can forgive yourself and others and move forward in a way that allows it to not continue something that might have happened 10, 20, 30, 50 years ago to continue to be the foundation for your identity today. It
mm.
doesn't have to be. It's a choice. And it's not an easy one, and it's not easy work, and it's not magic,
It's not
but
easy work.
but it's totally possible for
Hmm.
anyone. No one is beyond hope in that way.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing, like on the integration part. So, you know, right after these experiences, you know, reintegrating back into life properly with the right people and the right food and the right thoughts and all these things, you see people reintegrate, I say irresponsibly or just not correctly, and they fall back into that same loop.
Hmm.
And so you guys have someone that's kind of stays with them as far as support, like, hey, like stay on this course, keep doing this, eating this way and thinking this way.
That's
That's
what the
critical.
Yeah, it's important, and that's what the integration visits are about,
Yeah.
and that's why we encourage people to stay involved with them long term, and they can be covered by insurance. We encourage more in depth psychotherapy with a therapist, which we don't offer in house, but we refer out for, and we
Mm,
encourage people to be engaged in therapy where they can see someone and work through that long term every week and
mm,
talk about, you know, where their challenges are, where their successes are, and have, you know, support there. And, you know, we are the product of the 5 people we spend the most time with in our
mm.
closest circle. And everyone's heard that. And it, you know, might sound played out, but it's very
They need to hear
real.
it again.
It's very real. And that includes friends, family, partners. And so looking at those people and saying, are these people really aligned with the person that I want to be? Do I feel inspired by them? Are they helping me to grow? Are they
Hmm.
supporting me in improving my life in the ways that I want to? Or are they hold me back? Do I have friends who are wanting to catch up with me in the gym and or wanting to grab lunch after a workout or a run or a hike? Or do I have friends who are really only interested in hitting the bar?
Mm,
And if I want to do something like take it easy on a Friday night or maybe hit a sauna social and do, you know, sauna and a cold plunge somewhere
yeah.
instead of go get wasted, do they think that's lame? Well, if those things are important to you, if you think those things are good for your health and wellness, if that is the way that you feel is healthier to connect with your friends and your friends aren't down, maybe you need new friends.
Mm,
And, you know, I think as men, it's hard to make new friendships, especially as
so
we get
say.
older. But just because it's difficult doesn't mean it's not worthwhile. You
Yeah.
know, anything worthwhile is going to have its challenges.
So this is such a common theme right now, is because when people come into treatment, you're so used to so many losses. You're like, you know, sometimes people just need a win. And so
Yeah,
you got, you know what I mean?
yeah,
So
yeah,
you just get your butt kicked out in the street, you know,
yeah,
while you're going through whatever struggles, addiction, your mental health struggles, and you're just getting your butt kicked. So you come in here like, ah, exhausted, right?
yeah,
And I think the thing that's what I was just talking was interviewing someone yesterday is like finding new friends, but
yeah.
that's a real common theme with what I'm talking about right now. And it, you know, common sense isn't really common. And so it's like, how do you as an adult go and find new friends?
Yeah. Well, I think first and foremost, we have to have a good foundation in ourselves to pull from. We have
Yeah,
to be a friend to ourselves. And that might sound a little bit corny, but
not at all.
if you're not making it a priority to be good to you,
Mm,
no one else is going to do that. So if you're not getting it together to be able to eat well, sleep well, exercise, get your mind right, read, learn, you know, really work through your challenges, you're not going to be in a good position to have an intimate relationship with someone that's meaningful or to have a good friendship.
yeah.
So you can't pour from an empty cup, right? So I think first and foremost, it's about embracing a period of maybe being alone or lonely for a time if you need to, in order to get those things in order, and knowing with hope though that it's temporary and
Mm.
that you're building towards the life that you want to have.
Yeah.
And then when you feel like, if you're in a good enough spot where you feel like you're not depressed or you're not having such a tough time, that you can go and connect with other people in a way that also might be appealing to them,
Yeah.
then doing it in ways that you're in healthy ways that are of interest to you, and connecting with people who share those interests, whether
Yeah.
that's,
Hobbies or
hobbies, whether it's going and hitting the gym and starting to, chat up people you see in the gym time and time
yeah.
again, or taking group fitness classes, whether that's boxing or CrossFit or whatever, and
Mm-hmm.
just chatting some people up that you start seeing over time. People are going to also talk to you. So you want to grab a coffee or lunch, just getting to know people, doing it with the foundation of coming together around healthy activities.
Yeah. It's kind of like when we were kids. Like, hey man, you like this? Like
Yeah,
skateboarding? Me too. Let's go.
yeah,
It's like
yeah.
getting back to that.
Yeah,
You
100%,
know?
and if you're taking classes and something, you want to learn Spanish or a business class at an, UCLA extension or some
Mm.
other thing like that, and chatting people up who are also interested in learning about the same thing you're learning about. Could be, various fitness things like we mentioned, or anything like
Yeah.
that.
So okay, so on addiction, so do you have any stories where you've actually seen? Because I have a history with this, and
Hmm.
I've gone off onto many different experiences, uh, and it ultimately really changed so much for me. And if I ever fell back into like the matrix, I'll call it, if I get caught up in my own stuff, or I'm trying to play God or whatever it is, I will get this whisper. Hey,
Mm.
like I get a call, and it's, I don't know, whatever it is, but I've always had something, and I always had this. I love psilocybin. If it's once a year or a couple of years, I will go off into an experience, and I have my own routine and rituals and habits for it, and it's absolutely incredible. And a lot of people in my space aren't very open with it, because I've owned and operated treatment centers or whatever. But behind the
Hmm.
scenes, people are like, "Yeah, Preston, I'm going through." I'm like, "Dude, just
Yeah,
talk, man. This is a
yeah,
temporary experience. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, just be you."
yeah,
And then, after this, I'll pull this clip and like, "Yeah, Preston, me too." I'm like,
yeah,
"Dude,
yeah.
I mean, yeah, you're because it's deep work.
Right.
We're not out there going and getting, all high, and it's if it's very intentional. Some of it, it's not always fun."
No, no,
It's not,
no.
man. It could be. I've gotten tested in those types of
Yeah,
things. I
it
came out
can
like,
rock you. Yeah.
whoa, and after some of these experiences, it'll be months after where you're still piecing that thing together.
Yeah.
I mean, I not too long ago I had my experience, and I went off and had beings, operating on me, and these just crazy things.
Hmm.
Crazy story. So I got diagnosed type 1 diabetes last July.
Mm.
Go off into this experience, right? In Joshua Tree, got my own house. I juice cleansed, right? I did my whole jam, dude. I got this badass Airbnb overlooking Joshua Tree. I got my Spanish guitar tunes going, and I'm just saging it. And I'm like, all right. So anyway, I go off into this wild experience, and the visuals where I had these like entities like going into my heart, like they're like burrowing in. And I've been in these situations to where it was familiar. I'm like, okay, this eyes closed, going with it, and they pulled out this orange glowing bulb, this like ball out of my heart. These like they had like teeth on the end of them, and they look like these worms or whatever. And it pulled it out, and it just flew off into the distance, and I was like kind of flying with it, and then it just went into the abyss. Well, another thing happened to when it like went into like my pancreas, right? And there was another this glowing orange ball, like like when the steel's really hot, it looked like that, and it was burrowing in, and it pulled this out, and it did the same thing. I'm typically do a shot of insulin maybe 5 to 6 times a day.
Oh, wow.
I haven't done a shot of insulin after that experience.
Wow. That's amazing.
And I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah.
And I've told two people this, normally people are like, when I talk about that story, people are like, eyes are
Yeah. Because it's
glazing.
kind of out there,
It's out
but
there.
it's real. Yeah.
And
It's real.
this is what I experienced. And
Yeah.
so I've had a cookie at night. I'm like, told my fiance, I was like, honey, I'm going to need some insulin. So I had this crazy Oreo cookie, nothing. And
Wow.
so
Amazing.
I haven't done that. And that
Amazing.
I don't know where else it's from,
Yeah. Well, have you ever heard of the film Fantastic Fungi?
Gosh, who's doing that? Is that
It's on
Paul Stammet?
Netflix. Yeah, Paul
Yeah,
Stamets
yeah,
on Netflix,
yep,
like from years ago. It's such a great film. I highly recommend because it's not just about psychedelics. It's about mushrooms in general and how
yeah,
incredible they are and mycelium, and it's really beautifully done.
yeah,
But Paul Stamets had a very, very severe stutter, and he ate
yeah,
a bunch of mushrooms, and after one journey, it was gone and it never returned.
yeah,
So there's all kinds of miraculous healing that can happen with a macro dose of psilocybin.
yeah.
And again, you got to do it in the right environment, in the right mindset, do it safely. I'm
Safe,
not recommending anyone just go out there and eat a bunch of mushrooms.
totally,
You got to do it. It's a very powerful tool, and it can hurt as much as it can help.
big
But
time.
when it's done responsibly, it can be absolutely, truly healing. And it's your story is incredible, and there's a
Yeah,
lot of stories like that out
yeah.
there.
And the crazy thing about that story is that years before this, I went up and I had this other experience to where I was told I was sick. This is before I got diagnosed.
Mm,
And I was out there and I was, these other entities were saying, like, hey, you're sick, you're
mm,
sick, you're sick. And I got done with the experience and I'm like, I'm sick. Like, what is that? Well, if I went to the doctor and be like, hey, can you just do some blood work on me? You know what I mean? Like, check me out. They would have been like, oh, yeah, you're diabetic.
mm-hmm,
You know what I mean?
mm-hmm.
And so my body or subconscious or whatever was speaking to me and telling me I was. Well, not, a couple of years after that, I ended up going into diabetic ketoacidosis.
Mm,
So I guarantee that I was diabetic then, but I was just working it off enough to
mm-hmm,
survive. Eventually, my body couldn't handle it.
mm-hmm.
So, but also on the other side of these things, I like that you guys do all your pre-screening and very professional and safe because I've had other people go off on these journeys that had an underlying mental health disorder that didn't know of, and they were very irresponsible with how they did it, and they ended
Mm-hmm.
up in like psychosis, man.
Yeah, it can happen.
So I
Yeah.
do like say it is something very powerful, that people need to take seriously because I know people that go off and people are going to do what they're going to do. They're all adults, right? But I'd rather be the one that's to have someone with me to educate too, because I know a lot of people actually go and do it, and it's getting more and more out there. And I think that it can be extremely amazing, but is it for I was talking about with one of the doctors that worked with me, who's a neurologist, and we had ketamine that we were doing. It was a primary mental health facility, so they're like some sick pups.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yeah, man, Joe should definitely do it. He's ready for it. He's like, no. And I didn't know that because, like, is not everyone fitting for it? Like, depending on where they're at mentally? Like,
Oh,
'cause,
for sure. I mean, I would definitely say it's not for everyone.
okay,
Nothing is for everyone.
that's true.
And people with schizophrenia, schizoaffective disorder, uncontrolled bipolar disorder, or in the midst of a hypomanic or a manic episode,
Yeah,
all those are going to be no-nos for psilocybin or ketamine or any other psychedelic. And people with certain underlying medical issues, like I mentioned earlier, uncontrolled hypertension, certain cardiac issues, not safe. But most people can benefit in the right environment with the right mindset.
mm,
And there needs to be adequate screening, just like there needs to be adequate setting for it to
yeah.
be healing. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So a thing on
Mm.
with addiction on this behavioral health space, because
Yeah.
I'm a huge advocate. I think when we were talking, I'm kind of protective over it.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
I messed up. I said I was defensive, but sometimes I can. Like, hey, don't be talking about it like that. You have know
Yeah. Yeah.
nothing. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just had the people just don't know what they don't know, man. And
Yeah.
I was having coffee with this gentleman, 60 years old, super cool guy, right? But he's got like 30 years of sobriety or something like that. And I was talking about my experiences and just talking about it. And I stay within my limits. You know what I mean? I don't go act like act like I know everything about it, but I know some.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I'm an addict, man. He's like, if I go off and do this stuff, I'm gonna be doing it every day, And what are your thoughts around that for people? Because I've been so open about it, and I used to be really afraid of it, just judgment or whatever, until I'm like, whatever, you guys. But I have people that come to me that have been for years sober, and they're doing all the therapy and the meds or whatever, and the meetings and all these things, but they're still discontent, and they're operating at like 40% when they can be
Mm-hmm.
at 80, 90. So what are your thoughts around people that have a lot of sobriety and they go off into one of these experiences? Like, people are afraid they're going to get addicted to it.
I think people should be open. I think, to your friend with 30 years, if people are happy and they're doing well, then, don't rock the boat.
Totally.
Don't fix it if it's not broken. But for somebody who's checking all the boxes, doing all the quote right things, and they're just, still really unfulfilled, I think it's worth considering. I'm not going to say that they should do it, but I think they should at least be open to doing it. And, like we were talking about earlier, I mean, psilocybin, it's not exactly like the most fun thing, so like people microdose and they go to parties and clubs and whatever, they take a tiny little bit and they catch a little buzz or a vibe and whatever. And that can be fun. But taking a macro dose, a therapeutic dose of, 3, 4, 5 grams and having a full on trip, it's not, I mean, I guess there's people out there that probably get a little bit into that, but it's not something that you want to do every day or every week. It's totally can really rock you.
Yeah.
So I think I understand the fear and the concern, and I think people should be wary of any substance that they might like and then want to abuse. But in my experience, and for a lot of people, I think there's a little too much worry there. Not to say that you shouldn't be worried about it, but man, this isn't something you want to do every night. It's easy to come home and have a couple whiskeys every day. It's easy to come home and, smoke a joint every day if you want to take the stress off or numb. It's easy to come home and pop some pills, some Xanax or something, or some opioids and numb yourself. That's all easy, and that's all can become physically addictive. But mushrooms, that ain't so easy or fun to go and just blow your top off.
Because you're not numbing. You're
You
going
are
deep.
doing the opposite.
You're the opposite.
Psychedelics are categorized as non-specific amplifiers. They amplify whatever's going on for you. That's why it's so important. If you got a lot of pain or hurt, that's going to come up. If you got unresolved things, they're going to come up. That ain't fun. It ain't. I've had, experiences where, I was crying for hours, just crying. I mean, that's not something like, I want to do that again tomorrow.
No way.
It's it can really break you open. And so, yeah, be careful, be smart, but
because as they say in therapy, you have to feel it to heal it.
Yes.
It's a big thing. You have to go deep. And so after people like crying for hours or whatever, like, we have so many clients or people that like, hey, let it out, man, because it's bottled up. Like body keeps the score type of thing, and like after crying and or just going through that type of pain, how much lighter though.
Oh, it's amazing. I mean, that's where disease comes from. These
Diabetes,
emotions that are this dis-ease, right, that are kept inside that can start to manifest as medical illnesses.
That's how I believe my diabetes happened.
Yeah.
I was super stressed, man.
Yeah.
And I had the gene.
Most people, especially high performing people, entrepreneurs, carrying chronic stress and just this intensity and not being tapped into their emotions or not making space for themselves or their wellness and just being very driven, that can manifest that way.
Yeah.
And you gotta feel it to heal it. You gotta let it out. That stuff's gonna come out one way or another. If it's not gonna come out through your emotion, it's gonna come out through your pancreas or whatever it might be, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's really important.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think people don't really know how good they can feel. And I think this is an incredible tool. And I
Absolutely.
think, that just thinking that you feel good, but then being open-minded to trying something, you're like, oh my gosh, if I didn't try that, I would not be feeling this light. Your nervous system, like everything, what you're attracting and the abundance and the relationships and perspective. It's just a lot of people want to shout from the rooftops after. You're like, hey, hold on, like people after these certain experiences, I've so much enthusiasm. Like, oh my gosh, I want to tell everybody, which is so incredible. And that's why I'm such a huge advocate. And I was super, super excited to have you down. And one of my goals is I'm seeing this with, certain friends that own programs all over the place, is typically when some people talk with me, I'm probably going to end up having some type of conversation like this some way, because treatment's been the same for how long?
50 years, no advancements in the field.
Yeah, so treatment centers the same thing, man.
Right.
And so, statistically, I don't, like statistics or anything like that, but like experiences I've found have been the biggest thing with clients. When I go take them to Joshua Tree or surf or whatever, like I go out and try to bring life out of them. I want you get scared and excited in a wave, like something that you've never felt before. In a way, this is that.
Yes.
And so just mentally, your mental environment, right? And
Yeah.
how do you see this ketamine or the things to come, these coming, like, how does that come into the behavioral health space more? Because one, I know it's fear, but like not enough people are doing it because the people at the top are skeptical. And so if you don't live it yourself, why would you implement it into your program? I mean, I feel like are you going to go take the clients out surfing or something active? You know, and if you don't do it, that's foreign to you. So why would you go and
Mm-hmm.
do it? So how do you see these types of things coming into behavioral health?
Yeah, well, to your point, I mean, the experience is key, and you can only intellectualize so much. You know, you got to get out there in your body and just, live
Mm,
too. So for people to have experiences of fun or play that they haven't had, or connecting with other people in meaningful ways is important. So I
yeah.
love that you do that. To answer your question, I mean, first and foremost, even though you said you're sometimes you hesitate a little bit, but much more now you're sharing your story than you used to, I would say just keep boldly sharing your truth,
Mm.
and be curious about others, but also encourage them to be curious about you and your truth, and
Mm.
how you can help to educate them on not only your experience, but the experience of others as well. And there's a growing body of literature. So for people who are interested in science and who are evidence-based, there's data there for them to look at as
Where do they
well.
go for that? Like if someone
I
wants to
mean,
learn.
clinicaltrials.gov is easy. It's free. Anyone
Okay.
can go there, just to clinicaltrials.gov. You can search a treatment or a condition or both, and you can find all kinds of papers on there.
Okay.
And they can be dense. People can use ChatGPT to summarize them, or they can
Mm.
look at the summary or the abstract to try to understand it, or talk to someone who can help them to understand it. But there's all kinds of data out there. Yeah.
Mm.
Um, and I would say, we have to podcasts like this, ways to get in the media, to get in front of people, to help people to learn and hear another viewpoint, sharing our stories and conversation with friends, family, colleagues, incorporating it into our programs, making it a part of a program for people to be able to come and have TMS or IV ketamine at clinics like mine when it's an appropriate fit for them. Partnerships, collaboration.
Yeah.
These are all ways that we
Big
can
time.
move the needle. And the more people, every time another person has a truly transformative experience,
Mm.
we're one step closer to getting the masses to recognize that this is an option for them.
Undeniable, huh? That's it. The ripple effect of that.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
So, I brought another lady down here, super cool, Christy Myers. So I work closely with Red Bull and Monster Energy athletes,
Awesome.
and so I try to utilize, like, that's why I'm so happy that I got to meet you, is because now I have another resource, and so I can talk a certain way. I get to a certain point, I'm like, all right, bring the experts in. You know what I mean? So I need really qualified people that are great at what they do, because I have so many resources to back me up on certain things and that are great at what they do. Um, the hesitation on bringing them, like the actual practice of doing so while they're in treatment. I've heard that people have been relying on outside substances for so long that they
Mm-hmm.
want them to remain abstinent from that for some time while they're in treatment. And so I heard that perspective,
Mm-hmm.
but a counter to that, I don't know, I want to get your thoughts on that, because they've been using something to feel a certain way for so long. How about just dealing with your emotions without anything? Yet they're prescribing medication and stuff, right? But what are your thoughts around that as a counter on that? Like how would they be able to do it when they come to treatment?
I think minimum, 30 days is important.
Like sober, so
30 days
okay.
of sobriety. Give the physical and mental reset of that.
Mm,
Let things get out of the system. Feel what it is to not be under the influence of something.
mm,
Beyond that, it's on a case by case basis, but it could be appropriate for someone to have a treatment like IV ketamine, especially if they're really depressed or dealing with trauma, and that is keeping them from being able to progress in their sobriety. They're
mm-hmm.
suffering. You can't just say suffer
Yeah.
without the drug that is numbing it, and just feel the pain and be in pain. It's, if people are struggling to get healing and clarity and to feel better, then something that can help them to feel better isn't going to numb them, or isn't going to make them rely on a substance that can empower them to really lean into building the life that they want to have.
That's the perspective with it, 100%. Because people typically come in here, they detox for maybe a couple weeks,
Yeah.
right? But a lot of times they get onto medications,
Right, right.
And so,
That's the
but
irony of all that whole
yeah,
conversation
but they're
is
not it's not the first time they go to treatment.
right,
Rarely does anyone get it first time. It's super
right,
rare.
right.
One of our case managers did. She's like, well, I don't know the stats on that, but they've done this so many times and they're coming back and doing the same thing. I mean, I literally had a lady that came and left. She did 63 treatment centers. And I've heard this numerous times. And they're coming back and repeating the same thing. And I think that, there's got to be a way for it to get, you don't hear of it inside treatment centers. And I know a lot of them,
I think it's insanity. I mean, literally doing the same thing and expecting different
literally.
results. If you got somebody it's their very first time, you want to, run them longer through the program and see how it goes. Sure, the stats we know are not so great about whether or not they're going to,
Yeah.
stay sober,
Yeah.
but fine. But for someone who's on their second, third, fourth, fifth, 60th, you're going to just try the same thing again, really? I mean, why wouldn't you at that point say we need to take a different approach, even if there is some risk, even if they could have a treatment and then maybe they do go off and start seeking drugs? It's possible, right? But what's the alternative, that they end up going through the program and relapsing anyways and getting in another program because it didn't work for them? I mean, what are we working with here? There's a real risk to not treating. Everyone's so worried, in medicine, do no harm. And there's a risk to treating people, absolutely. But we also have to look at the risk of not treating. We know people with untreated severe depression or suicidal ideation oftentimes will kill themselves. So that's not so great for those people. There's 50,000, suicides in the United States every single year, people who die by suicide. And that's the official number. And it doesn't count for the, quote, accidental overdose or the car accident or whatever it might be, the person who fell off the building. So I think the number is probably 60,000 or more. And why wouldn't you take a little bit of a risk to prevent a death or some other bad outcome, right? There's got to be the other side of it looked at.
Yeah. Is it, they looking at a liability standpoint,
That's a big part of it.
yeah, a liability of
Big
it.
part of it.
Yet, what's the I mean,
there's liability also in not taking action and in not treating. When someone comes to you for help and you say, I think this person, I'm going to do the same old basic stuff that doesn't work for them. And then if they are going to go and relapse or overdose or take their life, then you can be accountable for that too as a provider, right?
But do you know who approves it, right? It starts at the top, like I said, right? I mean, so the person that's even going to make the recommendation, those people at that level, at the clinical level, or like I had his name was Dr. Tucker. He's super cool. Dr. Lawrence Tucker. Shout out Dr. Tucker. Super open-minded, right? And I knew when I built my last program, I was like, I want some open-minded people. Everyone. It was super cool, man. And we were making some noise. It was super cool. But it starts there. It starts at the clinical level because they're the ones making the recommendations. And if at that clinical level, if they're closed-minded to it, that person's never going to get the opportunity. You know what I mean? So like that's where it's going to start, or unless this person comes in and advocates for themselves, but then it gets to the top, which I've seen numerous times, to where it got shut down.
I think the whole team has to be on board, and that can come from the top down. But also, if you have a medical director who's enthusiastic, but the therapist or counselors or other companions or people involved are like, oh, that's nonsense. That stuff will kill you, man. Don't touch it. Then it's not going to go very well either. So I think everyone has to be aligned in that and have an environment that's supportive of that as a healing option for some people. And I would say to any treatment center owner or director, anyone who's watching this, talk to me. Let's see some of the lower risk people who seem like they're healthier and more stable. Let's have a couple of them try it and see what happens, because guaranteed the chances are they're going to engage in the program with more enthusiasm. They're going to do better and they're going to actually get better results. And when they experience that and they see it, it's going to ripple effect like we talked about.
Big time. Yeah, because they're going to come back into the program buzzing on live and everyone's like, what's going on with Joe?
They're going to be more engaged, easier
Inspired.
to work with, get better results. It's going to spill over onto other people who are also going to in the program as well, who are going to do better. And it's a positive domino effect.
Oh, big. You can totally see that. I can visualize that whole thing.
Yeah.
Man, it looks like we got to start a treatment center, Sam. Let's be sending out vibes from it, man.
Yeah, man.
So, okay. And, I want to get, a little bit deeper on the or the things that, what you've seen with this, as far as, as far as when someone goes into this at a, I mean, it's hard not to go to a spiritual level with it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's really undeniable. Like things, I mean, I just told you what happened to me. What the heck?
Right.
I don't making anything up. Is this what happened?
Mm-hmm.
The things that you are able to do once you tap into that, I don't know, would you call it a realm or whatever that is? Like, have you been able, either yourself or someone else being able to watch you yourself have this experience and go there, and if it wasn't for that, your life wouldn't have not ended up here, like creating
Oh,
ideas.
absolutely.
Like,
I,
have you?
I think for most people, it has a truly transformative effect. And by that, I mean their life is not the same afterwards.
Yeah.
There was a study on psilocybin, and the majority, I don't remember the exact number, I don't want to make it up, but I feel like it was like 75, 80% or something. Like the vast majority of the people who experienced this macro dose of psilocybin for this study said it was one of the single top 5 most meaningful moments of their entire life. People ranked it up there with the birth of their firstborn
Mm,
child, with their wedding. I mean, literally one of the most important and meaningful experiences of their entire life. That
mm,
was almost all of them.
yeah, I heard that.
So yeah, there's no coming back after that. I mean, that's serious stuff.
Yeah, big time. Well, is there anything else? I mean, as far as, what any goals or visions for you in the future, or things that you are excited about?
Um, the stuff I mentioned earlier, and incorporating, other psychedelics when they're legally available, and we want to help more people. We want to get the word out there. We want to have more partnerships. We want to help educate people and help more people to heal. And with the SUD community, for those who are maybe more skeptical of IV ketamine, I think TMS is really a great treatment for depression. It's
Mm,
drug free. It's not addictive. It's not something they can do at home. Uh, it has lasting benefits. It's safe. There's no known long-term side effects. It's covered by insurance. So to me, that's really a no-brainer for
yeah, I keep hearing back
people.
and forth on that. I've
Mm.
heard people advocate for it, and then I heard this other lady, she was, like, it's so wild because you can hear so many people so positive on something, and then someone is knocking it for some reason. I don't know why, but TMS has been incredible for so many people.
Yeah, it's great.
And exactly what is it? So what is TMS?
It's transcranial magnetic stimulation, and it's using a magnetic coil to send magnetic waves to the brain to stimulate parts of the brain. In the case of depression, it's the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. So it's
Mm,
the front left part of the head, gently placing the coil there and then sending these magnetic pulses. And it stimulates neurons there that are underactive or inactive due to depression. And it stimulates that activity. And similar to ketamine and psychedelics, it creates neurogenesis. It increases
wow.
that the firing of those neurons in the
Like,
brain,
wake up.
and it gets that activity going where it's been underactive, and it helps people to feel better, and it's amazing. There's a lot of nuance to it, just like with any treatment. And there are people who do it and they don't do it very well, and people don't get good results. And so then maybe this person that you're mentioning had an experience like that, and they think
Mm,
it's not a good treatment. But the truth is, when it's done well, just like with anything,
yeah.
or with most things, I guess, when it's done well with intention, it's a very, very effective treatment for people, and it has none of the side effects of prescription medications. And again, for those who are very worried about substances, this is a drug-free
Mm.
intervention. So it's, to me, it's like should be the first choice for the SUD community.
Wow. So people, and like, you have this at your clinic.
Yeah, we do.
So people can bring their clients from treatment to go and do these things
Correct.
ever.
Yeah, and we have centers who do that.
Oh, they do?
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
not as many as I would like, but there are some. Yeah,
Oh, so for like inside, they'll bring their
for
clients over.
inpatient residential, bring
Really?
people over. Yeah.
Good for them, man. Freaking give
Yeah,
them a
I wish more were doing it.
give
And
them
there
a
are
shout out.
some programs that have this in house, but they're not really. Some of those that I know of they're not particularly well run.
Yeah.
They just kind of added it as another revenue thing, but it's not really being done. Like we have, psychiatrists and people
Yeah.
really trained from the manufacturer and who are really passionate about doing this at a high level, and it makes a difference.
You need to open one in Orange County. Because I see the LA commute. There's like a resistance to LA if you're in Orange County or vice versa.
Hmm.
You
I
know?
get it. I mean, look, I drove from Culver City down here,
It's a
in
niche.
the rain. It took me, a little over an hour and 10 minutes. I get it, but you're talking for, at least in the case of ketamine, you're going to do that just 6 times. I mean,
Yeah.
you can make that drive 6 times to transform your life.
Okay, so people that are saying that though, I
How
wanted
many
to.
missions did you go on to go get a bag from
Yeah.
someone and drive hours and wait around for hours and run through alleyways just to get your fix? I mean, come on,
Yeah. So you have people do that though. I don't want people to be, oh, it's in LA.
People do, yeah. I got people who
Heck
drive
yeah.
from Arizona. They fly from New York, Italy, New
Heck yeah.
Zealand. People travel from the other side of the world for it. And we
Heck
have an
yeah.
accelerated protocol where we can do 6 infusions in 8 days. So if people want to stay in LA and they don't want to go back and forth, they get a hotel and they knock it out in just barely over a week.
Oh wow.
But for someone who's coming from OC and they're going to go back and forth, yeah, you're talking 6 times over 2 to 3 weeks. We can do it over 3. So you're literally just going twice a week. I promise you, most of those people have driven further more frequently for things that had much less value to them.
Big time.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we see patients from OC, absolutely. Opening a clinic here is definitely of interest, but I got a lot going on where we are, and we have a lot more capacity to serve people where we are. So first and foremost, we want to help more people there, and then we'll look at OC and other places where we can add locations.
So ketamine, so it's starting to make a little bit more noise. There are some people that spoke on it, Gary Brecka, and what's the other guy? He's always Andrew Huberman. So some are snipping his, make creating ads for him. So
Right.
I do see ketamine actually making more, noise from some of these people.
Right.
So it's like
Tim Ferriss.
Oh yeah, Tim Ferriss.
He's a big proponent of psychedelics and ketamine, and has had leading researchers out of Yale and Stanford and other places on his podcast.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's out there.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I mean, I've never done it myself, but I would love to. The thing that I wanted to do around it, I was talking with an LHE at a clinic some time ago, is that I wanted to, because all the skeptics or people that were whatever, like I just want to show it, and I wanted to capture it in a way that was like real, Has anyone, like, have you ever had anyone that's actually captured these experiences and watched, like, it's almost like a little documentary almost?
We
Has
have,
that
yeah,
happened?
but
You guys
there's
have?
always room for more.
Yeah.
I think the more first person point of view of showing before, during, and after, going through the process and what it's like is really valuable for people to demystify it and for people to see what it does.
Yeah. I might be that person.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anything else? Yeah.
No, this has been awesome. I really appreciate you having me and your
Thanks,
great
Brandon.
questions. And, thank you for what you do for the community and
For
to
sure.
help people and to think different and try new things. And we all have to keep striving for more and meeting people where they're at and then helping to guide them into the next better place.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I had one more question though, actually.
Yeah.
So I'm launching this business in January 1st. It's all virtual, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you can access functional medicine, therapy, recovery coaches, nutritionists, whatever. A bunch of different wellness providers, but it's all virtual. And so I've always had inpatient programs. I'm like, now so much of this happening virtually.
Yeah.
And I asked the questions on the virtual side of, like, on the ketamine, because I have seen some things there and I've had people mention it, different physicians. And what are your thoughts, like, on the virtual? I know we talked about it a little bit.
At home ketamine?
Yeah, at home ketamine. Like, is there a way that people can do this? I don't know. It's not through you. You don't do this, or do you provide that?
We do very, very limited for some patients for maintenance, only for people who've already had IV in the clinic to maintain. We don't do it as a standalone service where we just offer it to people we've never seen before. We have to see how they react to the ketamine and if it's safe and effective for them, what their optimum dose is. We have a very rigorous screening for that.
Can it be okay? Is there is a serious screening? Like, how?
I don't love the idea of anyone taking ketamine alone at home unsupervised as a general practice, especially for the first time that they take it.
Yeah.
And
Makes sense.
There are exceptions, as I mentioned, for certain geographic or financial limitations that it could be appropriate. But I'd say generally, we don't feel like it's the best practice.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
As far as like safety and all that.
But we offer, holistic psychiatry covered by insurance via telehealth throughout California, and we prescribe more conventional medications, which they still have their place in the toolkit. And so, if you have people who are in need of that, we're happy to to help them. We can see someone within 1 week.
Really? Yeah, we'll definitely talk, because I gotta see what the capabilities are virtual, but I do for people that want to experience these things, I want to figure out a way that, we are going to be talking with a lot of different folks virtually but then for the ones that, because I am going to be talking about this, and I'm like, well, then we just refer them to a local place or whatever. You're flying out to LA, whatever it may be,
Yeah.
right? Okay. Well, we'll talk more about that, man.
Sounds good.
Thank you, Sam.
Sounds good, brother. Yeah. Thanks,
Appreciate it,
Preston.
bro.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Great stuff.